you doing to address the challenges that the constitutional commissions and independent offices are facing in the lacuna in the law that has been raised by some of the panelists? Thank you.
Thank you, Praxidis. I wanted to state here that all these constitutional commissions and independent offices rely on acts of parliament other than the constitutional provisions. It is the Kenya Law Reform Commission which developed those acts of parliament. And we are continuously engaging the legal and justice affairs of parliament to ensure that we address some of the gaps that have been identified. In the compendium that was launched here by the Honorable Chief Justice, those gaps are also alluded to. And the Kenya Law Reform Commission takes very seriously this particular issue because we have the technical ability and the capacity to assist our sister commissions and independent offices. We will be able to take this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dache. I believe, Madam Saruni, you're representing the Attorney General, and that is one of your key mandates. Perhaps you could also rein in on that discussion.
Thank you. As my colleague said, we work very well together with the Kenya Law Reform Commission. We have a legislative drafting division where we are able to support the commissions wherever they need to come up with any laws, regulations, and that way we are able to perform our function as provided for in the Constitution. Also, to add, we offer legal advice to the MDAs, that is the ministries, departments, and agencies, including the commissions established under Chapter 15. And we've been able to also represent the commissions and the MDAs in cases in court. And as you know, we only handle civil and constitutional law cases, and we also seek advisories from the court. We also guide the parliament when we are called in to give advice to parliamentary committees. So when they invite us, we are able to go there and to guide them on legal and constitutional matters. And really our focus is on promotion of the rule of law and on democracy, and to ensure that the Constitution is implemented as it ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Justice, a few issues were raised by Honorable Kajuju on certain challenges that has taken them to court, they've come to court. Yet looking at some of these challenges, there are issues that can be discussed, especially under the National Council on Administration of Justice. How is it structured, and what does it constitute in terms of membership? I know you have Dr. Maranga here to help us with this. Perhaps you'd like to go first, and then he can give us the structure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. The National Council on the Administration of Justice was created upon realization that the justice sector serves the people of Kenya. It started through a pilot project that was mooted by the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association that created the court user committees at the stations and piloted it because it was realized that every justice sector operating in a silo will never deliver justice because we depend on one another. For us, particularly to have a successful conviction of a criminal case of corruption, you require proper investigations. You require witnesses who are properly led by the prosecution. And so that is the justice sector that operates as a chain link. So that is how it was tucked in the Judicial Service Act upon the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution that is heavy on public participation. That is, the public must be involved in decisions that affect them. They should be involved in the way the courts run their affairs, the way the police run their affairs, and ODPP. So the best forum is the court user committee at every court station, which has the presiding judge or the presiding magistrate as the chair. Then we have the office of the DPP, we have the police, we have the AG, and we also have human rights bodies and commissions that are present in the court stations. If you have an office in Garissa, you will be members. The CCIOs will be members of the court user committees to have a voice in the way we deliver justice. So those are the members. At the moment, I'm happy to report that we have passed a resolution that we constitute ourselves into a formal body because now we are too big to exist under the Judicial Service Act. The Judicial Service Commission has carried us this far, but now we are big enough to walk on our feet. And therefore, we have engaged the Attorney General and the Kenya Law Reform to give us an Act of Parliament, an NCAJ bill that now gives us structure, gives us form, defines who we are, and gives us membership. But so far, we have worked well coming together. I have just mentioned what happens at the court station. At the end quarter, I chair the NCAJ. The Honorable Nudin Haji, DPP, is the vice chair. We have the Commissioner of Police. We have all the agencies in the justice sector, our members, including of late, the IEBC is also our member, because what they are undertaking is a huge justice, rule of law issue of elections. So it's really, we say in NCAJ, the more the merrier, because if you're coming there to add value in the way we deliver justice, we always welcome you. But I'll ask Dr. Maranga.
Yeah. Just one, Honorable Chief Justice, you've mentioned that members of the public also participate in the NCAJ or the Court Users Committee. How do they do that? Through what forums? Because the entities you've just mentioned are mainly state departments. Perhaps, do we have membership from civil society or any other participants?
Yes, they are. The Law Society is a member, and the local administration, the Nyumba Kumi, if you are talking of a court station within a jurisdiction where there is an organized Nyumba Kumi, the chairman would also be a member. And then something I didn't respond to is how we are approaching the justice in view of the need for us to respond to the aspirations of Kenyans. Not all of them can be able to access formal justice because it's far away from them. We know many people have to walk many kilometers, they have to hire lawyers, they have to wait for long, and this is why we are advocating for the multi-door approach to justice. And our vision that we are now implementing as the judiciary is heavy on court-annexed mediation as an alternative. We are also heavy on alternative justice system where we empower people to be able to deal with their own problems within the setup where they live, within the communities, within the Nyumba Kumi. They are being trained on how to handle those cases according to the Constitution and, of course, the usual NDR, alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, and the small claims courts that are accessible to people. We are trying to roll them out. Were it not for finances, we would at least have 100 small claims courts all over the country by now. But because of resources, we only have 11, but we are hoping to cascade them to every court station. So that is how we are empowering people to access justice more expeditiously.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. Dr. Maranga, I know you're the Executive Director of the NCAJ. Perhaps you could also rein in on what the Chief Justice has said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Moderator. You have used the right term, perhaps, because you know in such a forum it's bad manners to overemphasize now that our chairperson has spoken. But with your permission, let me mention and emphasize a few things that the Honorable Chief Justice has mentioned. NCAJ was created out of a problem that existed. The problem...
And if you could do it in 2 minutes, we're running out of time.
The problem that existed with Kenyans was that their experience when they visited NCAJ member agencies, the police, judiciary, DPP, among others, was not very desirable. And the formation then meant that it was to address a certain inefficiency. I want to pinpoint the inefficiency specifically using Article 159, 2B and D, where the word timely, as I think the Constitution used the word expeditious delivery of justice, and under D there is issue of not really looking into technicalities. Those were the key issues highlighted by Kenyans, and the council at the top is looking at policy, legal, institutional reforms to address those issues. At the end of the day, we would be very happy if a Kenyan enters into any justice sector institution, is served first, is happy, and is able to get out of the system being a happy person.
Thank you, Dr. Maranga.
Okay.
Thank you, panelists. But before we step down, I would like to ask Dr. Dache if he could possibly tell us what, maybe comment on constitutional advocates for CCIOs to be independent when carrying out their mandate. Are they actually truly independent in carrying out their mandate? Just in 2 minutes, thank you.
Thank you, Praxidis. Constitutional commissions are independent offices. By their very nature, we call them in law sui generis. Sui generis means of their own kind. They are special purpose vehicles established by the Constitution to assist the state and government in delivering special services. That's why you have IBC conducting elections, not supervisor of elections as we used to do. And then you have the JSC recommending to the president who to appoint as judges of the Republic of Kenya. In terms of independence, constitutional commissions and independent offices cannot be directed by anyone except the Constitution and the law in how they execute their mandate. But in terms of governance and the whole of government approach, they are public offices. And therefore, they are subject to the same procurement regulations, audit regulations. They are subject to the same public finance management regulations. In terms of independence, this sort of forum demonstrates the interdependence of the institutions. They have come together, they oversight each other. We also saw this in terms of the devolution conference, which brings county governments and the Senate and the constitutional commissions and independent offices together. We also see this in the summit. We see this in the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, which is chaired by the Deputy President, brings together a number of CCIOs here, and also county governments, and also national government institutions. That shows independence. If anything, finally, they serve both levels of government. That demonstrates interdependence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've been able to discharge our duty in terms of sharing with Kenyans about the legal sector and the justice sector, the independence of the constitutional commissions and the independent offices, and also the fact that they are interdependent in carrying out their mandate. I thank you.
Let's give a more heartier clap to our moderator and the panelists for the good job they've done unto us, very briefly, but to the point. I would now request that we focus on the screens for a documentary on CCIOs. The documentary. No, not Mike Gitone, the documentary. As the technicians are working on that hitch, I would wish to move to the second panel. And I would wish to take cognizance and appreciate the presence of the social justice crusader, who is also a very key partner. That is none other than the CEO Pamoja Trust. Let's appreciate Samuel Orlando as he takes the stage. Samuel will be a moderator. I would wish to invite on board Dr. Jamlek Moturi John, the Chairperson, Teacher Service Commission. Karibu sir, take your position. Let's appreciate Dr. Jamlek. I also most humbly wish to invite Dr. Alice Otwala, the Vice Chair, National Police Commission. Karibu Daktari. Let's appreciate Dr. Alice as she takes the stage. I wish to invite the chairperson of the moment, that is a new term today, the chairperson, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, my good friend Wafula Chebukati. Mr. Chairman, kindly take your seat. Appreciate the chairman as he comes forward. I would also wish to invite the chairperson, National Land Commission, Gershon Otachi. Kindly, sir, take your position. And Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia, the chairperson, National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Let's appreciate Daktari, Commissioner, as he takes his seat. This second panel discussion will be moderated by our good friend Samuel Orlando on administrative and gender cluster. The moderator, you're most welcome. Your 25 minutes starts from now.
I hope you'll add us one more hour. Thank you very much, colleagues. I have the honor of moderating this panel. And as you can see, it's a power panel. We shall try to divide this into three main clusters. The first one will be on the basis of reflection on the last 10 years and the strides that we've made from your personal opinion. Then secondly, we shall try to look at it on the basis of the constitutional gaps that we've identified based on practice and the day-to-day running of the independent commissions. And the last bit is to look at independence and interdependence. That whereas we speak about independence, there is interdependence, and in the interdependence, it's constantly coming out that there is a financial dependence that is making constitutional commissions sometimes not very independent. So then, how can we oscillate around this? And ladies and gentlemen, for the avoidance of that, I'll request that you allow the panelists to introduce themselves once more, so that then we get to know who they are and which commissions they represent. So kindly, Madam Commissioner, we start with you.
Thank you very much. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Alice Otwala. I'm a commissioner at the National Police Service Commission, as well as their vice chairperson. I'm also here to represent my commission and the public service in general. That's what I've been advised because of my practice for a long time in the public service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Jamrik Muturi. I'm the Chairman, Teacher Service Commission, presenting the commission here.
Thank you. Thank you, Session Chair. My name is Samuel Kobia, the Chairperson of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And the audience. My name is Kashom Otachi. I'm the chairman of the National Land Commission. I'm also currently the chair of the caucus, the CCIOs, otherwise known as the chair of chairs.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning. My name is Wafula Chebukati, chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. As you have christened me this morning, I'm the chair of the moment. I'm also the president of the Association of African Election Authorities, a Continental Forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair of the moment. And perhaps we start with you, now that you're the chair of the moment, and ask the difficult question that within the context of promotion and the values and principles of good governance, where will you place the constitutional commissions at the moment?
Yes, thank you. In terms of governance for the last 10 years, I think as has been articulated by the Honorable Chief Justice, I think constitutional commissions have moved on to the expectations of Article 249 on the matters of serving the people of Kenya, on the matters of sovereignty, and on matters of democratic values, as well as issues of constitutionalism. And we have seen a lot has happened. I would speak on behalf of the IEBC as an independent electoral and boundaries commission. We've managed the elections, general elections 2013, 2017. We did boundary limitation in 2012. We are again undergoing the process of boundary limitation, which will be finalized by 2024. We have done a lot in terms of setting up a permanent secretariat, which is one of the most robust election management secretariats in Africa. And this you can hear more from outside there than inside Kenya. Exactly. If you travel, you'll hear about our teams better outside there. We have, as a commission, set up county election officers in 47 counties. We have a presence in the 290 constituencies with permanent staff. And we then are preparing for the 9th of August, which is coming soon, a few days away. And as I can confirm to the country and the audience here that the commission is on top of things. So called upon to do an election, we are ready because we have systems in place. So we have moved on, we are stronger, we are better, but that's not to say that we have challenges, which I'm sure you'll come to.
Exactly, and perhaps to Commissioner Otachi, is that Commissioner Chebukati has touched briefly on the provisions of Article 249, particularly on the objects of the commissions. But then to what extent have we implemented these objects, and what are the gaps that perhaps you feel the commissions are experiencing that should be strengthened through legislation or also through practice?
Okay, thank you very much. There is a sense in which each respective commission has traveled its journey. But I would say broadly that in the three objectives of protecting the sovereignty of the people, entrenching democratic practices, and promoting constitutionalism, broadly speaking, I think the commissions and independent officers have made great progress. But we must appreciate it from the perspective that many of these, most of these commissions were created to take up space that was previously held by other institutions. And the very fact that they established themselves and took on those roles and they exercised those roles over the last 10 years is testament to attaining those objectives. There have been challenges, of course. The two main challenges I would point out. One is the issue of each commission settling in vis-a-vis other institutions. And we've seen this across from my own commission and others where you have a challenge in terms of whose mandate is it to do this or the other. And that's a problem that I generally say is of either actual or perceived overlaps of mandates. Sometimes they are perceived, and even when the law is clear, but there are institutions that were used to handle certain matters, and letting go is a bit of a problem. Then there are those scenarios where the legislation that was enabling the mandates to be exercised left some gaps, or the legislation itself effectively created overlaps. Then you find, as the commissions are settling in, they're having challenges vis-a-vis the executive, vis-a-vis the legislature, and so on and so forth. And because I'm saying this very broadly in the interest of time, the other broad challenge is a financial one, and I think that was alluded to by the Chief Justice. That cuts across all the commissions and independent offices. We all have those challenges, and we've had them over the years. And has been pointed out by earlier speakers in the first panel, even the issue of devolution. To what extent are we able to be represented on the ground, to reach one inch on the ground in the counties? That has largely to do with budgetary aspects. So if we had the right budgetary provisions, then we would be felt a lot more. But the simple answer as to what has been done the last 10 years, there has been tremendous progress. And even in those scenarios where you had the overlaps and fights about mandates, over time, that has cleared. It's my hope and aspiration that the next 10 years would see a much greater improvement in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kobia, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the thinking has always been that we wanted to take it out of the other arms of government with the hope that we shall enhance the space in which people will interact, will have a conversation around cohesion and integration. And being an independent commission, I know you have got reflections to the extent in which the National National Cohesion and Integration Commission has entrenched this. And I know sometimes this borders, criminal charges, people being taken to court, and is related to what Commissioner Otachi has highlighted. What will be your reflections particularly on those overlaps in terms of legislations and functions?
Well, thank you very much, Chair. Let me continue perhaps on the issue of overlaps and say that were it not for the CCIOs, the commissions and independent offices would be operating in silos. And that is where, therefore, there could be overlaps and repetition of the work that we do, even without knowing it. But because of this forum, it has been possible, therefore, to identify the overlaps and deal with them. Now, for the NCIC, there are three commissions and independent offices that we work with, which has really helped in the last 10 years, because the NCIC was established in 2008, and until the CCIOs, these constitutional commissions were formed, they were actually operating as a silo. But since then, there has been the interdependence and the synergizing, and this is really where I would say is the biggest advantage of having the forum, because the synergies are not only in the work that we do, but also in working together to maximize on the resources that we have. Because as you have heard, one of the biggest challenges is the financial resources. So maximizing on how we work together, it's been possible for several commissions and independent offices to work together. I'll give the example of ourselves, the NCIC and the IEBC, and the Office of the DPP. And then, of course, comes the judiciary. Because without those, it is possible for us to find ourselves unable to move beyond, say, investigation of the cases of those people that we summon, either because of hate speech or whatever. But now that we work together, and perhaps one of the biggest, the greatest progress we have made in the recent past, and because of this forum, is to agree with the IEBC, with the DPP, with the CCIO, of course, and the judiciary that will now be working together when it comes to dealing with the cases, for example, of hate speech. So that when, even before ourselves as NCIC initiate the summons, etc., then we can agree with the DPP where we come in. Now, one of what I think many Kenyans expect is how to deal with the notorious, say, offenders,
exactly,
so that they can be barred from running or being eligible to run for an elective office. And I think this, other than wanting to see some big fish being jailed, this is what Kenyans expect. And I think when we work together, then we can set the criteria by which candidates can actually be banned from running for office. So I think it's these synergies and this way of working together that we'll be able to achieve much more than we have done in the past.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And coming to Dr. Muturi, one of the arguments that have been given in terms of management of resources, particularly to the independent commissions, has been to collapse particular commissions. And I suspect that perhaps it's a conversation that you've had as CCIOs. I don't know whether you've got any reflections on that, whether that will shrink the civic space and engagement with Kenyans, or it's something that the CCIOs have also had a conversation on.
Now, before you say session chair, just to let you know that from here, we are not commissioners, we are chairpersons.
Chairpersons. Thank you. Thank you so much for that correction.
Thank you. I'm the chairman, Teacher Service Commission, and as my colleagues have highlighted and the CJ has properly put it across, I would say that collapsing the CCIOs would be a very wrong thing in this country, because the CCIOs have come to complement what the government is doing, and also to put checks and balances in various service delivery. For example, the Teacher Service Commission was a saga, but now under Article 2.7 is an independent commission, which has ensured that there is efficiency, transparency, and very effective service delivery to the teachers of this great nation, as well as offering services to our learners in the institution. And therefore, the need to have these independent commissions to stand and continue. The first few years, definitely, it was laying foundation in terms of policy formulation for these CCIOs and the like. And that does not mean that we have failed. In fact, it's a success story for this country.
Thank you very much. I'm told here that I've got 10 minutes, but we must listen to Ms. Alice, particularly now that the National Police Force transitioned to the National Police Service, and how the NPS has now, transformed the face of policing in Kenya and expanding the space in which the state engages with the citizens as independent commissions. I don't know whether you can highlight something on that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that question. I thought you were going to ask me along the lines of these ones, but I thank you for narrowing it down to the police. And what I can say is that the Commission, since inception, has struggled a lot. The first and important thing that was in place was actually capacity building. And I think that is more so for all the commissions that are seated here, because as they were formed, it was a new creation. And the first instance was then to develop yourself, develop your systems, develop your capabilities in terms of human resource and the delivery. And I think as a commission, we have come that far. The first commissions did their best, and now the second commissions are doing their best. The Police Service Commission, of course, the mandate is given in the Constitution, but the Commission currently is seized with issues that are affecting the police service per se, the police officers. How do we make them better people? How do we make them deliver on their mandate to the best that Kenyans want? They have been on our major subject of discussion in the media about the suicide, about the conditions under which they serve. And this is what is actually taking a lot of our time right now. And we are developing psychosocial support to them so that they are also dignified officers. We also know that a lot of their frustrations emanate from the HR practices that they have gone through as people that have actually made them not dignified. So our real strength now is to try to dignify them, try to improve on those HR practices that would make them feel wanted and feel loved, even as they exercise the mandate that is given to them by the Constitution. And they are a supportive group of people to all the other commissions and to all Kenyans, as you know, in terms of security of this country. So the commission is seized with that. We are seized with taking our services nearer to them. We are seized with listening to them and opening the space. You know, there are people who are used to orders and orders all the time. So we are trying to demystify that and tell them you can talk and you can exercise your right as a person, so that we have more and more of them coming out to speak about their feelings, speak about their environment of work, and then bring about accountability in managing their HR matters.
Thank you. And I want to go to Commissioner Tachi as the chairperson of Constitutional Commissions and Independent Officers. And this is on particularly strengthening the CCIOs in the face of interdependence. What are some of the things that, in your opinion, you think we could do as a nation, both in Parliament or as administrative actions?
Okay, thank you. Let's start with Parliament. And in this, again, there's a relation to matters of budget and financing. Now, the manner in which we deal with our budgets is that we, as CCIOs, we are clustered alongside, ministries. So you will have a sector under which now the National Commission is tied alongside the executive, and so on and so forth. Then we also report again to different committees based on that segregation. But what eventually happens is you'll find you're a commission alongside other ministries. You are fighting for your budget within it. And you know when you're out struggling for budgets, if you are an independent commission versus executive, and there's treasury that makes the final decision and so on, you can imagine how difficult it gets. Now, we are supposed to be answerable to Parliament, and we actually answer to Parliament. Yet when we are doing those budgets, we see that relation. Of course, it's also about interdependence and so on and so forth. So we need to maybe relook, and I'm sure we are going to have a session where we have the budget and fiscal policy and finance people. There is the issue of how best should our issues of financing be dealt with and reporting to Parliament. one of the thoughts we've been toying with is, shouldn't we have maybe a committee in Parliament or even in Senate that we report to as CCIOs, so that then our issues are seen from that common perspective. We are governed, as was said earlier by some other panelists, we are governed by the Public Finance Management Act. We are governed by all these standard laws that govern the executive. Much as the Auditor General will tell you that the Auditor General audits any monies that are from the public purse. At the same time, we are looking at a scenario where there needs to be a specialized way of dealing with our budgeting, our request to Parliament, our reporting to Parliament in that sense. I think that is an important area that ought to be looked at.
Yes, so in your opinion, that perhaps Parliament will make it more participatory, more accountable, and more independent, other than dealing with the executive.
Yes, there should be a way in which, whether it's through the committees particularly, that needs to be a way of recognizing that independence and dealing with that with the commissions and parent officers in that specialized one.
Thank you.
One of the issues that I think.
Thank you, Dr. Kobia.
Of course, I can say much more, but in the interest of time, Reverend Kobia here, and I always defer to the man of God.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. I just really wanted to emphasize a point that the Chair of Chairs has made, and that is how we relate to the parliamentary committees through which we account to Parliament. Because normally when we have, for example, NCIC, there are two committees in Parliament. And then when we meet them separately. But it's important that, for example, those of us are here as a cluster could then be meeting those parliamentary committees, because that is where really we can discuss the issues together. So that as we are working together in CCIOs, we can then also present our cases as CCIOs and not separately as a commission. Secondly is when it comes to contributing to the legal and the legislative reforms, because we have contributed to bills that are directly affecting us as, say, NCIC. But it is possible also to look at those bills that we can say together, collectively, as a forum we wanted to contribute to, and then both in terms of content as well as process, we can be able to even influence the outcome of those bills. I think that would be for the benefit of all of us.
And the chair of the moment is normally constantly before the National Assembly Committee on Budget, defending the IEBC. I know you've got real experiences, and it would be great to hear your voice on this.
Thank you. I think the issue of budget is, for us as IEBC, we have what we call the electoral cycle. Immediately after an election, the cycle continues. We start post-election evaluation, then pre-election, then another election. So the cycle continues. But what happens is that we get only funded in the election year, as it happened this particular year. So that all the activities between the last election and the last year, we don't manage to do anything. And that then contributes to the high cost of procurement of materials. Preparation becomes a problem, and then we have to run around doing all this manner of things. So we need to look at the financial thing. Most in election commissions and outside there actually have a fund of their own. And as our chair said, then you don't just become a vote in the constitution, and then you have to start fighting for resources. And so institutions like judiciary, the institution like IPC, we even have laws which say we should have a fund, but we don't have a fund at the moment. And so that's an area then we need to look at. I know of some areas where these challenges have been there, and the institutions have gone to the judiciary to look for redress. It's something we as independent, constitutional commissions and independent commissions need to look at. Where we are pushed the wall, the judiciary should be able to give us answers. But that is a problem we have, and we perhaps look at the next 10 years, see what can come out of it.
Yes, and perhaps it's a point that we need to focus on in the next 10 years. And Dr. Jamlek, perhaps the relationship between the independent commissions and the members of the society administratively, the trade unions, I know you engage quite a lot, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, COPET, and many more. What should this relationship be administratively, and how can we strengthen it so that there's peaceful coexistence?
Thank you. That's a very good question, and I know it's of interest to all of us. You realize that with CCIOs there is independence and interdependence, because there is no CCIO which can function alone. There is that element of relationship. Now, with serving the Kenyans and serving, for example, the teachers at Teacher Service Commission, we are working with social partners who are very crucial as CCIOs and as a commission. And therefore, the best is to adopt the best practices in terms of human resource management. And one of them, which we have adopted now as a commission, is having the collective bargaining agreement with the unions or with the social partners, so that you agree on the way forward of serving your clients in the best way possible. Clients here, I mean, for example, the Teacher Service Commission of our teachers, so that we are able to reason together with the unions. We look at the welfare of the teachers in terms of salaries, in terms of benefits, in terms of promotions, in terms of all aspects relating to teacher management. And then we have CBA. And for example, the 2016-2021, we had signed a CBA, which has ended, which transited into promotion of almost all our teachers. And from that time, you realize for more than 6 years, we have not had any industrial analyst. And that has enabled us to offer services very well to the Kenyans, more so in ensuring that learning is continuously taking place without any interruption. So mine is simple, that CBAs is the way to go for all the CCIOs with the employees, because this will prevent any industrial analyst, because going to reason together, definitely with the employees. It also motivates the employees to realize that they can sit on a round table, agree to agree, and where there are challenges, then you face the challenges together as a nation. Thank you.
You're very right, and as I come to Dr. Hallis here, the relationship between the NPS and the public, community policing approaches and many more other than the administrative system of rehabilitating the National Police Force and the National Police Service as it was. If we've got any reflections, then we'll go to Commissioner Otachi, to then we'll close for us the panel conversations. So if you've got any reflections on that.
Thank you very much. As we agreed that policing is actually everybody's concern and is everybody's mandate, so to speak, because the ratio of the policemen that we have to the number of Kenyans that are in this country are not matching, so to speak. We need to much more, and we have now issues of security in this country that were never the traditional security issues. You know that we are now dealing with the issues of Al-Shabaab, issues that were never internal, have now come internal, and so we need the involvement of the public more and more into assisting the systems that are put in place in achieving these issues. What I talk about is, you look at the borders, even in nice places like Siaya, you find that there's porous borders where we need wananchi to keep reporting on what they are seeing, or keep organizing themselves in a manner that they can relay information to the police for the operations to be effective. So these are areas of efficiency that we need, and collaboration that we need between our services and the wananchi, so that together we can make the Kenya a secure place.
Thank you. And Commissioner Otachi, in the next 5 years, as the chair of the CCIOs, where should we put our eyes to?
Okay. maybe slight correction, not Commissioner Otachi, but Chair Otachi.
Chair Otachi.
And Chair of Chairs.
Chair of Chairs.
Light touch. Now, but maybe because it's the last word I'll have, as we reflect on the future, we look back. And we look back, the starting point in terms of CCIOs is these objectives. So that is the foundation of us being together. But I will add on that thankfully, with profound wisdom, the inaugural chairs and holders of independent offices took care of that and came together and formed the forum. I'm happy that I see here today the inaugural chair, who we would probably ask to say a word at the end, Amolo Tiende. These are the people who came together and said, we want to work together, and what I want to guarantee the Kenyans is that we've continued that journey and we've maintained it and that closeness, and what I'm looking at in the next 10, 15 years is that we should even be stronger in working together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly support me in applauding the panel for the job well done. Thank you.
Let's applaud the moderator, my good friend James Katule, and the panelists. Thank you so much for that well-elucidated debate. Very healthy. The video.
Established in 2010, the constitutional commissions and independent offices, CCIOs, are obligated to discharge their specific individual mandates as stipulated under the Constitution, protect the sovereignty of the people, secure the observance of democratic values and principles by all state organs, and promote constitutionalism as indicated in Chapter 15, Article 249(1).
The starting point is to look at probably ask the question why were these commissions created? Each of those commissions, different offices, why were they created? What was being done differently before that, and since then and now? What has been done that now you can compare with the past? So, but broadly speaking, if you look at it that way, then you will appreciate that we have achieved a lot in terms of moving, in terms of direction.
The citizen, in passing this constitution in 2010, they felt that they needed someone and somewhere where they can go to. And when there is a lot of maladministration out there, when there is abuse of office, when government does not deliver on the promises that it makes, then it is up to the commissions and independent offices to check that government does its job.
The independent constitutional commissions that are set up in the Constitution, quite about 22. We have about two independent offices, the Office of the Auditor General and the Office of the Controller Budget.
The chairpersons of constitutional commissions and CCIOs established a collaborative and consultative forum to provide an avenue for collaborative and consultation without compromising the independence of each of the institutions.
We come together to ensure that the commissions are able to do a lot of collaboration. They are able to strengthen each other and be able to ensure that the reason for which we were constituted is implemented to the letter.
Hardly any of these commissions, monetary offices, have anywhere close to the budgets that they normally they require. And a lot of commissions, mine included, would have we present a budget that has the kind of programs we need to do to be able to achieve our needs. But at the end of the day, what we get most of the time is just the current expenditure. You pay salaries and basic current expenses. And there's a lot that could be done, but it's undone because we do not have the funds.
The cross-cutting issue across the commissions is budgetary restrictions because we are not able to get the budget that is expected from government. Like the Ombudsman, our budget is always pegged at 1 billion for us to be able to render the services as per our mandate. But when you look at the budget that is allocated to us, it's right now is when we are getting around 700 million.
Every year, the forum holds a conference to take stock of progress made in policy, legal, and regulatory reforms, in addition to reviewing the development of related institutional frameworks. The conference provides an opportunity to enhance a better understanding of the roles of these offices as they deliver services at the national and county government levels.
And the objectives are to measure broadly. One is intra, so that the various the members, the chairs, and the holders of the offices being able to interact internally amongst themselves and share experiences and challenges, knowing that they have mandates that have and so on and so forth. So that was the first one, and the second was to find ways of engaging the public, educating the public on the various roles that the various commissions play.
Through the team method, the forum has journeyed to achieve notable milestones that public and other stakeholders can draw inspiration from these unique stories.
Now, coming together through the CCIOs has helped the citizen because we are able to take our services close to the people. Because we've realized that with devolution, there is a demand for our services to be devolved as well to the citizen, because most of those who suffer, most of the citizens who are humiliated or who fail to get government services at the mashinani level. So our coming together ensured that we were able to start a forum, a chairs forum, and with the chairs forum, we normally have annual congresses where we visit respective counties.
One important aspect of this energy was the BBI that has been in our news of late. All the Constitutional Commission contributed a single paper to that BBI. It is that synergy that came out of the creation of the CCIO. So, well, you will understand also that most of these CCIOs started operating after the last general election, because within the 5 years of operation, they were still trying to get the enabling legislature to give them teeth and to give them feet to walk. Now, the last 5 years, from 2015 going up to now, they've been having the feet to walk and to do what they needed to do. So we'll be looking at what has been done for 10 years and what needs to be done, that synergy, and how we can capture it in a much better way as we move forward to the next 10 years of the CCIO.
In line with the spirit of devolution, the first forum was held in Kwale County in 2012, followed by Mombasa in 2013, Kisumu in 2014, Uasin Gishu in 2015, Nairobi in 2016, Nyeri in 2017, Meru in 2018, and the 8th annual conference was held in Kericho County in October of 2019.
The CCIOs, as far as the public is concerned, I think that's what's important. In the first 8 years, there were conferences, annual conferences. Every single year there was a conference, and it was this conference was done across the counties, recognizing the importance of the commission. So they were carried out across Nairobi, Nakuru, Kakamega, Kericho, and Meru, among other counties. And this was for engaging with the public. And I'm sure if you visited each of these areas that we went to, you'll find that there was that interaction and sharing, reaching out to the public and sharing and answering their questions. That really, I would say, is what has been the main achievement.
This year, the forum is celebrating its 10th anniversary to take stock where all CCIOs have evaluated their performance.
I believe that the citizen has really benefited, and when government mistreats the citizen, then they have somewhere to run to.
Commissions regularly in smaller groupings, it could be 2 or 3 or 4, would be engaging with stakeholders, members of the public. So that continuous engagement with the public is beneficial.
To the forum, congratulations for promoting constitutionalism and observance of democratic values and principles.
So we promise you that we shall be able to do that which we were created to do as the constitutional commissions and independent offices. In spite of the challenges, we know we have the power, we have the capacity, we have the ability to deal with that mandate.
I will thank the chairs, all the members of the caucus for the cooperation that we've had, through this journey, and ask them to continue in that same spirit.
CCIOs, engaging societies, impacting the nation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have witnessed a reflection of the splendid service that we, as the institutions, have offered or rendered to the citizens selflessly amid all the challenges that we've been going through. Let us appreciate ourselves for the good job we are doing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the production team. It's a well-documentary. Though in a very short notice, I do believe you've done your best, and given an opportunity, you can even do better. We now wish to move to the third panel, that is the financial prudence and oversight. I most humbly wish to invite Commissioner of Revenue Allocation, Dr. Irene Asienga. Daktari, let's appreciate Daktari as she takes the seat at the main dais. Karibu sana Daktari. I wish to invite the Deputy Controller of Budget at the CPA, Mr. Stephen Marsha. Let's appreciate Mr. Stephen Marsha as he takes his seat. I wish now to invite the Chairperson, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Ms. Lynn Cherop Mengich. Kindly, let's appreciate Madam Lynn. I wish to invite now the CPA, Nancy Gathungu, the Auditor General. Let's appreciate Madam as she takes her seat. And this forum, or this panel, will be moderated by the CEO or the Commission Secretary, CRA, CPA James Katule. Let's appreciate Bwana James Katule as he comes forward to moderate this session. Your 25 minutes starts now.
I can adjust that to say it starts now. Thank you very much. Since I have very firm instructions on the issue of time, I would like to just get into it. Like you've been informed, my name is James Katule, Commission Secretary and CEO at the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Really happy to moderate this panel. Let me ask them to introduce themselves, starting from the farthest to the left.
Thank you, moderator, James Katule. Good afternoon, my fellow chairs, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nancy Gathungu, the Auditor General. I also I'm a vice chair of the African Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, English-speaking Auditors Generals in the region.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Marsha. I'm the Deputy Controller of Budget. I also serve as the interim chair of the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. I represent the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakana. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, moderator, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Lynn Mengich, the Chairperson, Salaries and Remuneration Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon. My name is Irene Asienga, Commissioner at the Commission on Revenue Allocation. I'm here representing Dr. Jane Kiringai, our Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the team that oversees how our money is spent. And therefore would like to ask them just to clarify a few things in relation to how they have protected the sovereignty of Kenyans in relation to the work that they do. So while you take a minute or so to tell us the core mandate of the institution, please tell us the work that you've done over the years, which gives us the confidence that you're protecting the sovereignty of the people of Kenya. I could start with you, Nancy.
Thank you. The Office of the Auditor General is not a new office. It was a constitutional office even with the old constitution. But we can say that the mandate of the office was re-emphasized with the current constitution, that it is to provide assurance to the people of Kenya that the resources of this country are used and managed prudently, effectively, economically, for their benefit. That is how we interpret our mandate. That our work as we audit and report to Parliament is to influence not only the development of the country through the use of the public resources, but also continuous and sustainable service delivery. And we've done this over the years. and in particular in the last 10 years. First and foremost, because of devolution, we have ensured that the office has decentralized its services. The office now has about 11 regional offices. Of course, we could do better. We want to bring services closer to the people, and we constantly strive to do that. Again, because the Constitution requires the citizens to be engaged with regard to their needs and how the services are going to be provided to them. We have done a lot of citizen engagement over the last 10 years, including establishing what we call a Citizen Accountability Audit Unit. The reason being that when we carry out our work of audit, it is not just about looking at the figures. Do the shillings balance? Are the financial statements presented in accordance with the framework that is prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board? No. We go beyond that. We look at the impact of the use of those resources on the lives and the livelihoods of the people. We carry out performance audits, we carry out compliance audits, and we engage the citizens so that they can tell us that indeed, even as we are auditing the money, their lives have been bettered through the use of those funds. That is how we have been working in the last 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Steve.
The Office of the Controller of Budget is about 10 years old. Essentially, we exist to oversee the implementation of budgets at both levels of government, that is both the national government and the counties. We exist to ensure there is prudent use of the public resources. And how we ensure this prudence, one is through reporting. Every 4 months as an office, we do publish a budget implementation review report for both the national government and the counties to show how the resources that are appropriated by Parliament and the county assemblies have been utilized by each county or the responsible CECs. Through that information, it gives in-year information both to the public, to Parliament, to stakeholders, to be able to hold the duty bearers to know what is happening. The taxpayers are aware. As we speak today, there's a huge wealth of information on in-year budget reporting based on the reports that the office has published. We go further to ensure, to follow through the shilling, to trace the shilling. Where does the shilling go? We undertake in a limited way monitoring of the programs that have been implemented by individual counties or at the national government as well. This gives assurance that the money that has been appropriated for specific programs is applied specifically to those programs. So we follow the shillings and see where the shilling goes and give assurance to Kenyans that indeed your money is being utilized well. We have other auxiliary mandates to inform the public. Just like the Auditor General indicated, as an office, we have from time to time undertaken public sensitization forums. We have called the public, given them information, key stakeholders as well. We have continued to engage and to ensure that they have the right information to be able to question the duty bearers. So in a nutshell, the last 10 years, we've been able to fill that gap and the space on in-year reporting, giving information to many spheres of players who can be able to hold duty bearers to account as far as the taxpayers' money is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission is established under Article 230 of the Constitution, which means it's been in place since 2010. Our mandate is really twofold. One is to set and review the remuneration and benefit of state officers, and the second one is to advise both the national and county government on remuneration and benefits of other public officers. So as a commission, we look at our role in two areas where we contribute to the expectation of the citizens. The first one is to do with how is the tax spent. Now, under the Public Performance Management Act, it is stipulated that not more than 35% of the revenue is to be spent on the wage bill. And the reason why that is the case is if we spend so much money on wage bill, then there isn't enough money for development and service delivery. And therefore, one of our biggest mandates is to ensure that there is affordability and sustainability of the wage bill. The Commission has, over the years, through different efforts and initiatives, has reduced the wage bill to revenue from 54% to currently about 48%, which means that we still have a long way to go. However, in doing that, it means that the Commission has been able to release money for development and for service delivery. On an ongoing basis, the Commission receives a lot of requests from stakeholders, and we review them to ensure, again, that we do not spend a lot of money on the wage bill. Just as an example, last year, we received requests worth about 70 billion. And out of those requests, mostly are allowances, the Commission only approved 6 billion. So that goes to demonstrate that without the Commission in place, the 70 billion would have been spent. But going through the different constitutional principles, we only approved 6 billion. Now, the other area is to do with service delivery. For government and any public institution to deliver service, then you require the skills that we are able to attract and retain requisite skills in the public service. Today, we have a retention rate of 95%, and that is really above even the benchmark that you would look at in terms of retention of staff. And that is due to the efforts of the Commission to ensure that remuneration in the public sector is competitive and that it is also fair and equitable. So we've got a 95% retention rate, and that's one of the achievements of the Commission. And in doing so, we also look at equity and fairness in pay. And the Commission has been able to establish job evaluation as a mechanism to assess the relative worth of jobs. As a Commission, we've been able to, in the first remuneration review cycle, to evaluate 55,000 jobs. And in the current cycle, we have evaluated 35,000 jobs. And in doing that, we are then able to have rationalized and harmonized job grading structures, which helps us then to advise on a salary structure that is more equitable. And lastly, just to talk about there is also the issue of fairness and transparency in what we do. And we've been able to gazette remuneration and benefits to ensure there is transparency. And we continuously also look at the issue of fairness in everything that we do. Thank you.
Commissioner Dr. Asienga.
Thank you. The principal mandate of the Commission on Revenue Allocation is to recommend the basis for equitable sharing of nationally raised revenue between the national government and county governments and among all the 47 county governments. Now, in pursuit of that mandate, we've actually upheld the sovereignty and constitutionalism, especially given the fact that since the financial year 2013-14, our recommendations have increased shareable revenue from 190 billion to the recent one of 370 billion. Number two, we've also made sure that what goes out there to the counties is not less than 15% that is recommended by the Constitution. In fact, the 370 billion is actually 27.3% of the recently audited accounts. That's for 2016 and 2017. Three, we've also made sure that whatever revenue is shared is equitable so that everybody gets exactly what they deserve. We also have another important mandate of setting out the criteria of identifying marginalized areas. So since the onset of the Commission, we've done two. So in 2013, we did the first one, which identified 14 marginalized areas. The unit of analysis was counties. But then in 2018, we reviewed that, and that's the latest that we have. And in that one, we changed a little bit, and we used sub-locations as a unit of analysis, and that identified 1,424 sub-locations as being marginalized. We also have other important mandates, especially when it comes now to financial management, because the law requires us to actually look at the financial management of county governments, and where possible recommend to counties ways in which they can enhance revenue. Now, on the PFM space, we've actually done quite a lot just to make sure that service delivery is enhanced at the county level. One example is every year we come up with ceilings, and the purpose actually of coming up with this ceiling is actually to limit the expenditures to limit the current expenditures in the counties, so that more funds are actually more funds go towards development. And since we started doing that, our ceilings is supposed to be approved by Senate, and actually most of them have been approved with minimal changes, if any. We've also come up with recommendations on non-core infrastructural projects. You know, in the counties, you know, there are projects that take place like governors, housing, deputy governors, and that of the speaker. So at the commission, we put a limit on the cost of constructing those houses, and the purpose actually is so that to avoid individualism, so that the officials here do not think that it is theirs, but it's to enable them deliver services to the people. On that space also of PFM, we've been working on what we are calling creditworthiness initiative, and we are just trying to provide alternative financing for the county governments. So we invited 9 counties to participate. It was voluntary, but we have 5 that were actually credited, and 5, that's Makueni, Bungoma, Kisumu, and Makueni, Bungoma, Kisumu, and we have others that have not really come out publicly. That's Mombasa and Nyandarua. We also had Laikipia. Now, Laikipia is actually leading the way, and very soon, probably once it's approved, they'll actually have alternative financing, and this will help them actually in their infrastructural development at the county level. Then we also participate in helping the counties in their budgetary, when they are doing their budgets, and we've trained county budget economic forum members all the time, and that has actually helped. Then on the revenue enhancement, which is important, because as a commission, that's another mandate we have, because we want to stop dependence on the exchequer. So we've made recommendations to counties on how they can enhance their own source revenue. We have reports, which we launched recently, on what counties can do. We identified their weaknesses. We've done assessment in actually 11 counties, and we've told them what their weaknesses are, like in Turkana, Isiolo, Tana River. Recently we met Kajiado. And through that, we've actually seen revenues increasing. And that has helped them a lot, so that they can, when salaries delay, they actually have a place whereby they can get some more monies. We've come up with model laws because we realize that we have the MCAs, their work in the counties actually to legislate. We have the model laws, and that has actually assisted in improving services in the county level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you have a minute each to just answer a specific question, and I think we could be done in the next 5 to 8 to 10 minutes. Let me start with Masha. The sovereignty of the Kenyan business person. We have had situations where Kenyan business people are complaining that yes, they deliver to government and they are finding trouble getting paid, the issue of pending bills, and probably Nancy would weigh in on that. Let's hear what you have to say about that. Protecting the Kenyan businessman.
Yeah, thank you, Katule. Indeed, the issue of pending bill is one that we, as an office, we flagged, and it's been taken up at a very high level, including IBEC, that is chaired by the Deputy President. In the course of our mandate, in the course of making quarterly reports, we realized that the quantum of pending bills was increasing year after year since establishment of devolved government units, and it's not only at the devolved government unit level, even at the national government. Some of the reasons that as an office we've been able to identify that trigger this level of pending bills, one is unrealized own revenue targets. Because under Article 209 of the Constitution, counties have limited powers to raise own source revenue. Once they have included that in the budget, they go ahead and procure. But when money does not come in, on average about over 50% of what they target to collect is not collectible, is not realizable. And of late, because of effects of the COVID-19 and other matters, the revenue trends have been taking a nosedive, particularly at the county level. And therefore, on the other side, the finance law allows them, once they have budgeted and they have parliamentary approval, they can go ahead and initiate procurement. They procure the services, but the money is not there to pay them. So that is one of the reasons that's why pending bills have been growing. The other reasons have been just aligning the procurement plans to the cycle and the flow of funds. That has also affected. There could be another couple of reasons behind this. What we have done as an office, when we realized this was a matter of concern, we undertook to engage our sister institution, that is the Auditor General's Office, to ensure out of this quantum of pending bills that was being reported, are these legible pending bills? Are these legitimate? And I think from the audit reports and some of the information that we have, there's a general indication that up to 70% of those bills have been classified as ineligible, which means there are a couple of issues touching on them. Some of the issues will be touching on us as Kenyans. I think we need to be careful as business community that whenever you are asked to do government procure services through some processes and systems, whenever you are told to deliver services, it's important that there's either a contract or a service order, LPO, or by whatever name called, there must be a contract document that enables you as Kenyans to give services to Kenyans. Because we have noted that a couple of these services may have been delivered, but the Kenyans who delivered them, the businesses that delivered these services, did not hold any contract or cannot produce those documents. So it's important, I just want to emphasize this, because for the business people who have been suffering, it's important for them to ensure that they have the right documents. The other important aspects touching on these pending bills is that as counties, we have, and national government, we have tried to put in place a framework where pending bills are paid on a first in, first out basis. The pending bills that are older or were incurred at earlier period should be paid first before you go to the newer ones. That will ensure equity, I think using the words of Commissioner Sienga, that there's equity in the way that we pay the creditors that we have. We should pay from the oldest to the newest. And there are also procedures. We have lately engaged with the Attorney General's Office and also the National Treasury to ensure where a Kenyan delivered services and you can vouch and confirm that indeed this service was delivered or the road was constructed, but only a paper is missing. What can we do to resolve those matters? There are certain cases where services were indeed delivered, they were received, but what is missing is a certain contractual document. So the question that we put before the Attorney General's desk is what can we do? Is there a way we can compensate? Because there's a benefit that government received as a result of these services that were rendered. So in short, that is what I could mention as far as pending bills are concerned.
Thanks. Nancy, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, I would like to add, and I think I would like to add quite a lot.
Please, you have a minute.
First and foremost, pending bills, or the terminology pending bills, is an invention. It's a terminology we have invented in this country. It does not exist in public sector accounting. Pending bills is basically fiscal indiscipline in the implementation of the public finance management cycle. Pending bills is an illegality, it's an irregularity. It's government, both at the national and county levels, borrowing or acquiring credit facilities from the business people without formal agreement. And I say this where pending bills are legible. If you look at our public finance management cycle, and Masha alluded to this, we start with how we are doing macroeconomic and fiscal focusing with regard to economic growth, with regard to revenue growth, at the county levels, at the national levels. Now, if we get that wrong, it means when we move to budget preparation, we are basing our budgets on wrong figures. Worse still, our budgets are expenditure-driven, not revenue-driven. So we get it wrong at that stage or phase of the public finance management. We move to budget approval. You go to county assemblies, you go to National Assembly, and there's give and take. We allocate here, add here, remove here, without proper backing or proper data to determine which sectors require more funding, which sectors require less funding. Then we approve the budgets, and we go to implementation. And we discard the budget that was approved, and we start implementing other work plans that were not informed by the budget, other strategies. We start procuring things that were not in the procurement plans. We start working outside the system, and we create more problems. Then it comes to accounting and reporting. And during these procurement processes that are taking place, and Masha has talked about it, the records are not well maintained. Audit is evidence-based. If there is no record to look at, if there is no physical evidence of delivery of a service or a project, then the auditor can only declare that claim as ineligible.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nancy. We will have 2 quick minutes by the ladies, and Lynn will have the final word. And your question, so that you prepare ahead of time, is there anything that we would like to do within the law or in adjusting the law to ensure that these offices get to serve Kenyans better? Are there any challenges? For Commissioner Irene, as we finalize, is the question of monies. Is this money changing the life of Wanjiko? Those are the 2 questions as we finalize. Go ahead, Commissioner Irene.
Thank you. Yes, these monies that we send to the counties, I can attest that it is actually changing the life of Wanjiko, given the experience we've had at the Commission. At the time we've been at the Commission, we've had an opportunity to visit different counties, and they can actually say devolution is working. Some places have seen a tarmac for the first time. Some houses have received water for the first time. Some places have, electricity for the first time. And generally, the livelihoods have changed. We can actually even see that people are now moving from the urban areas, going to rural areas because of better services. But of course, we cannot say that this is enough. Something can be done. If more monies can be taken into the counties, I know they have been going up, then this will be a game changer for this country, and all our livelihoods will improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Challenges, and how do we deal with them?
Okay, the question you've asked are there gaps in the law that we need to address so that the CCIOs are able to discharge their mandates better? And I'll answer that in 2-fold, and the previous speakers spoke to some of these things that I would say. One is recognizing that these functions were being discharged by another body before the CCIOs were established in the Constitution. And what that means is, from the onset, interpretation of the mandate of the different CCIOs has been an issue. So there is an issue of interpretation, and based even on the example of SRC, through the court process, that has helped us to really understand whose mandate this is. And I think that is expected because it's a new constitution, and that means that through different court cases, the court is able to actually make a ruling, and we are more clearer on where these mandates actually lie. So that is one area which is to do with expected formation of a new constitution and the interpretation therein. But one of the areas which are also alluded to by previous speakers is there could be a lacuna in some of the acts. May not necessarily be the broader constitution, but in the act itself. And CAG, I think, mentioned some of those gaps, so let me not go into that. So there will be a few gaps in some of the acts that we have that will require each of the CCIOs to be able to reflect on it and look at what needs to be done to amend some of those acts so that there is more clarity. And yes, there will be a few areas that it may not be the act. It could be some areas that may require some more relook at some of the constitutional provisions. But that is not to say it's time to begin changing the constitution, because there is always a danger of beginning to amend constitution left and right and center, when maybe there is other alternative ways of working through the issues that we face. And I believe, in fact, by having this forum, which is about consultation, it's about collaboration. It is about sitting together as one government and being able to look at how best can we achieve what we want to achieve, how best to work together. So I think there is much more we can gain by working together with all other state actors to resolve some of the issues that may arise without necessarily rushing into, let's change the constitution, or let's say the different acts. So let me close by saying, as the sector that oversights the financial side of government, we have come a long way in ensuring financial prudence, in ensuring that all what is required in terms of frameworks, policies are in place. I didn't name for SRC, but there are many policies we have developed, and I don't need to go through that. But it's just to confirm that we have delivered what the citizens expected of us in the Constitution, but also acknowledge that it is progressive. So there is still a long way to go to really be able to say, yes, we've achieved the full aspirations of what the Kenyans expected in the area of protecting sovereignty, promoting the Constitution, and also ensuring observance by all state organs on democratic values and principles. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to just bring this to a close. Let us appreciate them as they come down for assuring us that it is working. Please go back to your seats. Asante sana. And therefore, I give up this microphone to the Master of Ceremonies.
Let's appreciate our brother CPA James Katule, Commissioner and the Secretary of the COCRA, and all the panelists for the candid work they've done, well-deliberated issues on financial prudence and oversight. Thank you so much. We come to the last panel, which will cover issues of human rights. This is human rights cluster. Allow me to bring on board a lead, a specialist on issues of land, environment, natural resources at Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations. She's a legal expert in terms of environment and natural resources, and this is none other than Husna Mbarak. Kindly, Husna, take your position. Let's appreciate Husna as she comes forward to moderate this session. Allow me to invite Dr. Bernard Mogesa, the CEO, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Karibu Daktari. Let's appreciate Dr. Bernard as he takes his seat. The Chairperson, National Gender and Equality Commission, Dr. Joyce Muikali Mutinda, Let's appreciate Dr. Joyce, the chairperson, and the chairperson Independent Policing Oversight Authority, Madam Anne Makori. Let's appreciate Madam Anne as she takes her position. As they take their position, also allow me to take cognizance and welcome, take cognizance and appreciate the presence of Honorable Tiende Omolo, who joined us. Mheshimiwa tafadhali, jihisi kwamba uko mahala panapostahili. Asante sana. So I'll hand over to Husna, who will take us through this session. Your 25 minutes starts from the time you start.
Thank you. I thought the best is retained for the last, so we should have gotten more time. Good afternoon, everybody. And once again, congratulations and also thank you for the service to this country. All protocol observed, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to moderate this session. And I think we are only 3 of you here. I also expected Honorable Kajuju to be with us, but I'm sure there are a little bit of changes. So I think, yeah, we get going. Hope we'll maintain the time. Importantly, I think we'll go through some few questions, and you can speak on behalf of your commission, but also you can speak on behalf of the rest of the officers. Allow me to start with Dr. Mwikali. I think the question goes very direct in terms of how have you been promoting the constitutionalism, observance of democratic principles, values, and the sovereignty over the entire period of your office.
Thank you very much.
And as you do that, kindly again introduce yourself.
Thank you for this opportunity, Madam Moderator. You said I introduce myself. I'm Dr. Joyce Mwikali Mutinda, the chair of the National Gender and Equality Commission. Now, to your question, how have we promoted constitutionalism? I want to start there. What we have done is to make sure that everybody particularly looks at Chapter 4, which is on human rights, fundamental rights, and adheres to that chapter. Looking at the fact that the National Gender and Equality Commission came into being in that chapter, Article 59, sub-Article 4 and 5. And again, the mandate revolves in that particular chapter. So when it comes to politics, how do we make sure that there is adherence? One is representation. People being represented. And we look at our special interest groups. The women being represented, the youth represented. When I look at PWDs, persons with disabilities, have they been represented in politics? When I look at the older members of society, are they there? Are they participating? Are they being given time to do that which they should do in politics? So that is what the Commission has been doing. And we have been doing this through policies, making sure that policies are there that take care of that whole arena. We have also looked at the legislation. I must confess we look at every bill that comes up in this country at the county level, at the Senate and National Assembly, to make sure that the interests of these groups are taken care of. We look at the programs, particularly affirmative action programs and projects, and ensure that people are taken care of. That is insofar as adherence to constitutionalism is concerned. But there is the issue of sovereignty. It is tied in there because we exercise this through representation. Mm-hmm. And therefore there is an issue of participation. We make sure people are given time to participate, whether it is in economics, it is in politics, in the social arena. So the commission has been doing that kind of thing. Now, in the journey, we have seen there is access to justice. And we realized people may not be able to access justice. So at times, we use alternative dispute resolution to deal with the complaints. But at other times, we have to do public litigation. But I must announce to Kenyans that for the first time, the Commission has regulations. And they have gone through Parliament. They are going to be gazetted tomorrow. And moving forward, the Commission will be more active in this area of dealing with complaints from the public. We shall be able to sit and deal with alternative dispute resolution and help the Kenyans, remembering that commissioners within ourselves and also our sister organizations have been trained on alternative dispute resolution. They hold certificates, including my own officers. There is also what we have called increasing compliance with treaties. Kenya has ratified so many treaties, but those that have to do with our special interest groups, we make sure that Kenya is reporting the truth, not just reporting. A case in point is the issue of CSW, where we report to CEDAW on matters women. Where is Kenya? What have we done? Even when we make small steps, like making sure that FGM is not going to be in this country after 2022, we report that. And we ensure Kenya reports. Then GBV has also been outlawed. And this is something we are following. We also have a reporting on CRPD, which comes next month. We make sure that the country is reporting. CRC, I'm sorry, last year the country did not report, but we are following that. And we check, why are they not reporting? At times, we have to facilitate. We have had to facilitate this country to make sure that the protocol, the Africa Protocol on Human Rights, Human and People's Rights Charter, particularly the rights of other members of society, we made sure that that protocol was ratified by Kenya this year. And we are very proud. This meeting is going on right now in New York. And as I logged on yesterday, I was very proud just to announce that in this country, we are part of the globe. And as we negotiate a convention, then we are doing that we should do. I am looking at the moderator, and she doesn't want another point. But I must say, I've issued so many advisories. And I want to share one with you. We issued an advisory to our National Assembly so that they could have a creche in Parliament. I'm happy to report to the Kenyans, it is there. We issued an advisory to Minister of Health to make sure that sign language is part and parcel of their briefings. And this was taken up within a matter of 2 hours. And we are proud when government takes up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daktari, for that. We'll go into the next question, and that's quite some achievement and some step really forward for our country. I'll request Dr. Bernard to respond to this, but of course, as your office, but also the rest of the offices. Actually, as envisioned in Article 249 of the Constitution, how has your commission and the other offices been able to safeguard or have been safeguarded over the aspects alongside that article?
Thank you very much. I will base my conversations around the work that the commission has been able to do. First of all, allow me to say that the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights has been very active in infusing the human rights-based approach
in the medium-term plan 2, medium-term plan 3, and currently we are working with the relevant ministry in ensuring that the HRBA model is entrenched in the 4th medium-term plan of Vision 2030. Also, the Commission, together with the Office of the Attorney General, we have developed a national policy on business and human rights. And the basis is on the UN guiding principles on business and human rights. And I think as a country, we need to be very proud. We are the first country in Africa to have a national action plan on business and human rights, and this has been passed. And the role of the Commission, together with the other commissions and independent offices, is to support government and ensure that that policy is implemented. The value add of this particular instrument is that it places Kenya at a very strategic position in terms of the global investment opportunities that will come along with the implementation of this policy. Then the other one, of course, is the National Human Rights Policy, which also then looks at the Constitution and how all these institutions interact to safeguard the human rights of Kenyans. We have conducted public inquiries where human rights violations have occurred, and we have been able to share the reports with the various institutions, duty bearers, for purposes of implementation of the same. Now, in 2019, during the national census, the Commission working very closely with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, we are very proud again to say that we have now a third sex marker, the intersex, and again, as a country, we are taking lead globally in recognizing and protecting the rights of intersex persons in Kenya. And for general information, intersex persons, they do not have a choice. They are born the way they are born with the two sex organs, and therefore each one of us has a role to ensure that they are protected. And so as a country, we are taking lead on this. In terms of state compliance to its international and regional obligations, again, the Commission provides those advisories to the relevant committees, be they of Parliament, Attorney General, to ensure that also our reporting at the international level meets the international standards, but also gives a clear reflection on how Kenya promotes and respects human rights. I don't know whether I still have some time. Okay. The other point which I wanted to mention, and this has really helped at the Commission in implementing and promoting human rights, is through the public inquiries that we conduct. We did one on insecurity in the North Rift, and we are seeing certain improvements in terms of implementing the recommendations. We did another one in Taita Taveta on mining, and that is work again in progress. In security in the coastal region again, this is helping our Ministry of Interior and other duty bearers to protect Kenyans much more better and dealing with the insecurity that comes as a result of terrorism. So in a nutshell, I can say that we do investigations, we provide redress using ADR, we can go to court where we feel that we need to represent Kenyans, we research on human rights thematic areas, we provide advisories on economic, socio-cultural rights, we provide public education and training, and most recently, our participation in the national curriculum CBC has now seen our schools having human rights content in our curriculum, and we are sending now this again even to the universities. We have various MOUs, like Kipe University has now started a program on human rights for all undergraduate students. That's a milestone. We are extending to the other universities so that human rights education becomes part of the Kenyan life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bernard, for that. And actually, it's also another, quite a lump sum of progress made through that. We go to our next speaker or panelist, Madam Anne. And I think this is a very interesting question. Again, you can respond as your office, but also on behalf of the other offices. We know that the Constitution advocates for, for you to be very independent, but also, in carrying out your mandate, but also to act as public officers. But what we already see that they are all interdependent. How do you bring the balance?
Thank you very much, Madam Husna. As I answer that question, I'll also try to highlight the mandate of Independent Policy and Oversight Authority, where I'm the chairperson currently. The Independent Policy and Oversight Authority was established to safeguard policing rights of Kenyans by holding the police accountable in their conduct as they endeavor to give effect to the Constitution that requires the National Police Service to be professional, to be disciplined, to be transparent, and accountable. Now, as IPOA, we do this through independent oversight. And for that article to have effect, it was operationalized by Act number 35 of 2011 that established the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. And under that act, we do this through various ways. One, we do research and therefore make policy recommendations that affect policing in Kenya. We also have mandate to investigate the misconduct of the members of the National Police Service. We also have mandate to monitor their operations, wherever they are. And their operations are going on. IPOA has mandate to do that. And also inspect police premises. And when you talk of police premises, it's broad. It covers their workplaces, that is the facilities where the police work from, and also the premises where they reside. So how have we done this? We've made various recommendations, a lot of which have been adopted. And as you have mentioned, we cannot work alone. We have critical stakeholders in that space. And policing cuts across. Wherever you go, even if you look outside here, you are likely to see a police officer. And they are doing work related to Kenyans. And Kenyans have basic rights and fundamental freedoms. And where we are coming from, Kenyans express themselves through the Constitution that they want our police officers to be more professional. Meaning, Kenyans felt there was a level of impunity. How do you police the police? And Kenyans say that they want a civilian oversight body. We are the second in Africa after IPID in South Africa. The only difference between us and the South African one, the South African one sits under the ministry. Ours is independent. So we have more independence. And when we do recommendations, we may not necessarily be the ones to implement those recommendations. They need other players. A lot of our recommendations, if I can cite a few, for example, the recommendation on housing. There was a need to enhance community policing. And it was obvious, if you looked around, that the UNIHATs were not exactly decent accommodation facility for the police. So one of our recommendations was that as the government works towards building more modern housing facilities, the police officers be given house allowance and reside within the communities. This has dual benefits. One, enhances security within the communities, and two, allows the police to live within the communities, enhancing their well-being, mental well-being. The other recommendation that is being implemented, because we cannot implement that one, it can only be implemented by the National Police Service Commission. Through our research, there was a need to address the psychosocial issues of the police. So we made a recommendation, and the interventions was developed through Mwamko Mpya, but the implementation now is being done by the National Police Service Commission, and we are happy that they've been able to establish support systems up to the county level. The other recommendation was that the OCSs, or station commanders, should be given some fund to run the stations. Why? Because the stations needs to meet the human rights standards in holding facilities, in attending to Kenyans. So it was necessary that they be funded so that they are able to even buy basic stationery, clean the holding facilities, ensure they are well lit, they have water, and I'm happy to say that has also been implemented. The other one is to ensure they have vehicles that are serviced, such that when you go to a police station, you can get served. So that we come from a historical belief that we had that if you go to a police station, lazima utoe pesa ya mafuta. So now they have the leasing vehicles. You can see them around. Wonderful, well-maintained vehicles. They make me feel very proud whenever I see them, because it gives decency to our National Police Service, and it ensures service delivery to Kenyans. And also, once you have the vehicles, you need to fuel them. So there was a recommendation for fuel allocation, which has also been implemented. The other aspect was exposure that our police officers face in operational areas. We made a recommendation for armored vehicles, and the implementation of that was done by the Ministry of Interior, alongside all those other government policies that they have implemented. And today, our police officers have armored vehicles should they go to those highly risky operational areas. So those are just but a few. There are many others. Now, why is that important? Our key responsibility is to build public trust and confidence in policing and bridge the gap between the members of public and the police. Now, that gap widens if a member of public cannot be served. They will complain. If they are mishandled, obviously the police have a lot of powers. If those powers are not checked, there is a risk of misuse, which Kenyans call impunity. They are armed, and we know what a firearm can do. So there is a need for them to constantly be reminded, fine, you have powers to hold an ammunition, and the law allows you to use it, but can you kindly use it within the limitations of the law, so that we can reduce instances of misuse, and so on and so forth. And that way we've been able now to enhance Kenyan rights and fundamental freedoms on matters policing.
Thank you very much. Quite some achievements and also quite good step forward to really reform that area. And finally, I'm being warned on time, so this will be the final statements, and probably pick it up in terms of what are the gaps, because you've spoke more on the achievements by your commissions. What are the gaps and what are the emerging issues, and give out the last sentence to the audience here. So we start with Dr.
Thank you, Husna. We have gaps. One of them, everybody has drummed about resources. It revolves around resources. And I think my colleague, Honorable Kajuju, did allude to the fact that we have found a way of going around that one by sharing physical spaces in offices. But again, we have also used ICT, leveraging ICT to reach our people in hard to reach areas. It's only unfortunate that you find when we want to hold meetings with the lowest, I must say the hardest place to reach, they don't know what Zoom is. So we have to go there physically, meaning that we will still need resources to reach the Kenyans. I know we are using equality and inclusion technical working groups in various counties, but still we need to be out there. The other gap is lack of enforcement powers. And I'm happy I'm talking when we have a member of National Assembly the first chair of this forum here. Enforcement powers are an issue. When I try ADR and the two parties don't come together, I end up going to court. Now, if the court does not hear me out, and at times it happens, we still have a case in the Supreme Court. And therefore you find like the 2/3, I have drummed and drummed. You win a case in court, the other party appeals, and you go on until Supreme Court. So what should we do? I think our legislators can tell us. Finally, there is non-compliance. You come and the court decides, yes, you win this one. Like we won a case in Nakuru for nominated MCAs so that they get their resources. And that was adhered to by most of the counties. But some counties have not. Do I get a whip, go around whipping them because I have no other power? I'm considering going back to court. But can these institutions, because they have investigations, they have the powers to sit and adjudicate, can we have some power to enforce? Because that becomes an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madam Ann, you can.
Once again, thank you, Usna. Obviously, there are gaps. One of the gaps has been mentioned by every chair who has spoken before me. And those are austerity measures by attrition, particularly after the COVID pandemic. We have experienced shortfalls, serious shortfalls in our budgetary needs, and that obviously curtails our ability to do that which we need to do, particularly outreach. But in view of the one government approach that we have adopted as CCIOs, we are happy to report that we are working with other commissions, like the chair of the moment has been capacity building our staff on matters election. The ODPP is actually currently training our officers on prosecution capacities. We are now being co-opted as members of NCUJ with judiciary to participate in improving justice delivery, particularly the sector we are in, criminal justice system. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights are accommodating us quite a lot in their outreach programs to the communities, so we ride on that. And therefore, it's one government and cooperation and collaboration within the CCIOs, and we are able to do more than our budgets can allow. The other aspect that we have suffered a gap is, of course, non-cooperation. We've worked towards improving the relationships, but we still continue to experience instances of non-cooperation. Police were never oversighted. Police are never asked questions. Here you are, civilian, asking questions, not only asking questions, but we receive complaints from both the officers and the public, making them account, and in worst cases, recommending prosecution. So we continue to have those challenges. Some are legal, dual powers that cut across IPOA and DCI. IPOA has mandated to investigate serious crimes, deaths, occurring as a result of police action. We find that DCI similarly has similar powers. Sometimes they run ahead of us to enhance the Blue Code approach to these human rights. So it's an area of continuous engagement and continuous push for the space of human rights on matters policing in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Ann. And finally, Dr. Bernard.
Thank you very much. I will not belabor the challenges of finances. They are real. For example, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights doesn't have any allocation on program work. We only have allocation for, the administrative functions. The other challenge, of course, human resource. Currently, in post, I have 115 officers, and we have 5 regional offices. So you can imagine we are not covering the entire Kenya. These offices are in Wajir, Kitale, Kisumu, Nyahururu, and Mombasa. Then the other challenge is non-responsiveness, especially from the duty bearers, when you have matters that needs to be addressed and responded to by the public. We also find a big challenge there. Parliament added the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights mandate under the Prevention of the Torture Act of 2017, but there was no commensurate budget to implement this particular law, so that is still another challenge. Then human rights education, rights and responsibilities. Many times again, the citizens have challenges in knowing that human rights come with responsibilities as well. So again, we have a lot of work to do around here. You said any emerging areas? Yes. Human rights, conservation and climate change will be one of those areas that Kenya National Commission on Human Rights intends to focus on in the next strategic plan, which we shall be rolling out from 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Mikali, Madam Anne, and Dr. Bernard for those insightful discussions, and importantly to tell us where we are at, and from the last steps and the challenges. And I think as we all appreciate, change is a process, but we are almost there. So once again, let's appreciate our panelists, and importantly, to really recognize their work. And once again, we say thank you for your service. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
A more heartier clap for the panelists and the moderator, who's Nambaruk. Asante, thank you so much. We're almost coming to the closure of our program today. And it being a decade celebration, we've captured aspects on human rights, administrative and governance, issues of financial prudence and oversight, justice and legal. Today, our theme being celebrating a decade of promoting constitutionalism and observance of democratic values and principles. The Public Service Choir will give us a piece. After that, I will invite Abida Mutemi to give us in-house keeping, give us the person to give us a way forward, guide us from here where we're moving to. So I might not come back to this podium. Allow me to take this opportunity to say thank you for counting me worth to moderate this session. My name is Mike Getone. A few of you are telling me outside there, it's like we've seen you somewhere. Yes, where you think you saw me, it's right. That is where you always see me. This is the Master of Ceremony to the President. So that is how we value this function. Being allowed to come and be with you. You would have gotten a comedian from nowhere or from somewhere and be with you. But you found it worth to give respect to this kind of a program. And I don't take it for granted. The organizers, the Public Service Commission, the CEO, who made contacts to me, Mr. Brown Kutsoa, who made sure that I'm here. I don't take it for granted. And once again, I'm at your service, all the commissions. Anytime, I'm a call away. I'll come for your service. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Tunayoipenda tuijenge Kenya yenye amani na utulivu na ya upendo. Tuungane sote tuijenge Kenya nchi yetu tukufu. Tunayoipenda tuijenge Kenya yenye amani na utulivu na ya upendo. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya. Tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tutasonga mbele, oh, nchi yetu iende mbele. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tutasonga mbele, oh, nchi yetu iende mbele. CCIOs, tuungane tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. Tunaposherehekea miaka 10 ya kukuza katiba ya nchi yetu, na maadhimisho ya Katolika na kanuni zake, tunasherehekea miaka 10 ya nchi yetu, na maadhimisho ya demokrasia na maadili na kanuni zake. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tunasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tunasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. Tutekeleze maadili ya kidemokrasia na kanuni zake, tuzingatie jukumu letu la kulinda uhuru wa Wanakenya. Tutekeleze maadili ya kidemokrasia na kanuni zake, tuzingatie. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tunasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tunasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. Tutaheshimiwa nayo mataifa ya nchi za ng'ambo ya kufanya kazi, na sisi wa Kenya tukienda huko kwa shughuli zetu. Tutaheshimiwa nayo mataifa ya nchi za ng'ambo tukikuza Kenya, na si wana Kenya tukienda huko kwa shughuli zetu. Tutaheshimiwa. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tutasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. Tuungane tuijenge Kenya, tuungane tuilinde Kenya, oh, tutasonga mbele, oh, tuiende mbele. Tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele. CCIOs tuungane, katiba yetu tuilinde, kwa pamoja tusonge mbele, nchi yetu iende mbele, iende mbele.
Thank you very much. Nchi yetu iende mbele, CCIOs. That is a beautiful theme song by Public Service Commission Choir. Thank you very much. Another hand of applause. Allow me to invite, as you can see, our program ends at about 2:30, so we are still on time. In a few minutes, we should be leaving for lunch. Allow me to invite the chairperson of the Chairpersons Forum, that is the CCIO Forums, Mr. Gashom Otachi, to come and invite the guest who is going to give the closing remarks. Let's give him a hand of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor to have you still seated here for this time, but we've come to a close. And mine now is just to invite a special guest to make closing remarks. But before I do that, let me just check. I had spotted the first controller of budget, Agnes Odhiambo, whether I don't know that she's still here. Oh, she left. Okay, all right. Any other previous chair, apart from the one I'm going to invite? No. Okay, so I have the singular honor to invite the guest who will close this for us. He's a very special guest for us as CCIOs. This was the first chair of this caucus. And as we celebrate 10 years, it is a singular honor to have the first chair who started this journey off. Honorable Tiende Amolo is an advocate, a lawyer of 2.5 decades experience. He is currently the Member of Parliament for Rarieda constituency. He will tell us what he is gunning for now. It could be a higher level, we'll get to know. He was the first chair of the Commission of Administrative Justice, currently chaired by my vice chair. So he was the first ombudsman. So that office of the ombudsman, I have a bit of difficulty using that term with the current chair. So I don't know whether to call her ombudsperson. I think that name was not very gender neutral. So my vice chair does not say she's an ombudsman. So anyway, Honorable Otiende Amolo, I have the singular honor of inviting you to come and close this forum for us. Karibu sana. Can we welcome him?
The chair of the forum, the vice chair, honorable chairs and commissioners, members of staff of the various commissions, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I see you are tired, but usually there's an advantage to that even if I say nothing, you will still clap because you want to get rid of me quickly. And I saw from the program that you had the main service, the main meal. Mine is merely a pudding, just to add some anecdotal notes to what you already know. And I will be brief. But if for nothing else, at least I appreciate that I'm also here. Because my friend Chair Otachi, we only got to speak this morning because we've been up and down. And we are closing Parliament this week. And so we have some very crazy programs. But more importantly, Chairman Otachi asked what I'm going for. It is my intention that if Chairman Chebukati allows me, I will defend my seat as a Member of Parliament. And if you want to know the significance of this day, today my party of choice is doing nominations in my county, and yet I'm here. And so I will also not stay long with you because I have to do some things that politicians do to make sure they succeed. Thank you very much. There's not much to say. I think the history of the CC and IOs is clear. I want to thank all of you for maintaining that tradition of doing and reviewing the things you do every other 10 years. I want to suggest to you that the idea of having constitutional commission and independent offices is now something that no one can doubt. In all modern constitutions, they must have independent officers and constitutional commissions. And so you are here to stay, if some of you are wondering. The only thing that is not sure is whether the particular commission or independent office will always continue. We have seen constitutions where there's been a pushback and some offices have been abolished. We have seen some countries where the offices that were independent have become so deep in government that you cannot recognize them anymore. We have seen some where they have become so powerful that the people trust them more than they trust the elected government. What you become is entirely your choice, individually and collectively. But I want to assure you that as a concept, constitutional commissions and independent officers will always remain. But at the individual level, there's a pushback, and you must be aware of this. Recently, when there was an attempt to amend the Constitution, one of the questions that came to Parliament, and I was then the Vice Chair of the Legal Affairs Committee, was, do we need these commissions? And when you say yes, then you say, but do we need all of them? And I want to tell you, without being a predictor of bad things, that after 10 years, for sure, there will be another attempt, sooner or later, no matter what happens. And at that time, that question will come again. Whether you survive or not will depend on the perception of the people. In Parliament already, there are enough people who are questioning whether we need all the constitutional commissions and independent officers. Those of us like me who've been in it, I defend, and sometimes I find I'm alone. You are like 20, you are the only voice trying to say we need them. And well, there's another 200 Kenyans who are coming and say we don't need them. We must always bear that in mind. That pushback is real. That pushback is at the level of the citizens. If they think that we are not adding value, they'll say, you don't need you. That pushback is by the executive. There is no executive the world over that wants to be oversighted. Because all these powers you're exercising, as one of the presenters mentioned, there were powers that inhered somewhere, but most of them were with the executive. So the pushback will always be with the executive, but also with Parliament. I can tell you I sit in Parliament. And Parliament also has a serious pushback. How you survive and what you survive must depend on you. You must exercise the most basic human instinct, self-preservation. That self-preservation will depend on how effective you are, how independent you are, how impartial you are. Because if you do not, then you will outlive your usefulness collectively and singularly. And in doing so, you must remember that if one office is attacked, it's an attack on all of you. You must protect each other. I was ombudsman when the Article 59 commissions were created, all three of them. We gave Parliament the discretion to determine the number, because even when we were writing the Constitution, there was already a complaint on the numbers. Parliament, in its wisdom, decided to create 3. That same Parliament, even as we speak, is trying to exercise its alternative wisdom to uncreate 2. Now, I've told them that the way the Constitution was designed, once you have exercised that right to create 3, you cannot uncreate them, because then they are now protected under Chapter 15. You would need a referendum to remove any of those commissions. But then when that debate is going on, and some of the commissions come to Parliament and tell Parliament that, you know, you can actually do that. You can actually wind them up and make them one. That means you are not helping yourselves. Because once they succeed in uncreating one, they can succeed in uncreating so many others. And sometimes you need to be protected even from Parliament. Sometimes, and most times, when you exercise your authority so robustly, the first people you need to be protected from are Parliament. And I know that as a fact. I know when I left Ombudsman, Nancy's predecessor, Edward Uko, had to be protected from Parliament, and I became his lawyer, and I sued Parliament. That's how he survived to the end of his term. You must remember that there's a way the Constitution is structured. In Article 1, it talks of sovereignty of the people. And then it says that sovereign power is delegated to various state organs. But none of those state organs is given the responsibility to protect the sovereignty of the people. Only yourselves under Article 249, not the executive, not Parliament. They are only exercising delegated power. And so the most fundamental, and this cannot be emphasized enough, role for you collectively is to do what those others cannot do. Observe constitutionalism, as you've observed in your theme here, and protect the sovereignty of the people. That is why you are also imbued with immunity. Protect it. Make yourself relevant. Because if you don't, those same people will see that there's no use for you. Now, I know that usually there are problems, and there are things that you also need to avoid. One of the things you need to avoid is solicitation, and I've seen this in Parliament, at 3 levels. Some of the commissioners at the point of appointment find it necessary to reach out to various members of Parliament in what can only be called solicitation. Doing that alone starts to reduce your own standing and image before those very members. The very people you solicit to appoint you are the people who will attack you on the floor of Parliament. The second level is usually at the budget stage. Now, the budget is a big issue, and it is yet to be resolved. But thank God that it's increasing. When my sister Kajuju, the first year, I think our budget was 70 million. At least now it's talking of 10 times. And that's the truth about most of the other commissions. Even my brother Chebukati, they only remember him on an election year, because that one now, we need him. At other times, he's not quite well remembered. And that's the case with all of you. But do not fall for the temptation of soliciting increase of your budget individually, through individual members. That will not help you. Make the case to change the mode of budgeting. Right now, there's this called sector budgeting, where you are put with the, Ministry of Interior, I don't know what. When you are with the Ministry of Interior, who will remember you? So, ideally, the constitutional commissions and independent officers should make the budget as we had started, so that there's a sector only for constitutional commissions and independent officers. As long as you are with health, you are with education, you will never get much. And that is the truth. But that solicitation also comes sometimes when there's a query or an oversight, and it is to be avoided. You have the advantage, and the Chief Justice was here, that the Chief Justice, as CJ, is an independent office. But she's also the chair of another constitutional commission. And if you push it, even the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary might be an independent commissioner, actually, under the Act. Take the advantage and engage with them, because what the chairs, especially in the last session, were saying, including Chair Agenda, it is true. The biggest challenge to the work of constitutional commission and independent officers is non-observance. And that non-observance becomes very frustrating. The courts have sent mixed signals. Sometimes they support the commissions and independent officers, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they empower you, sometimes they disempower you. And there are many examples. If we had time, we'd go through it. You must recognize that even for courts, even courts also feel they can push back. Because as long as you exercise quasi-judicial authority, you are then encroaching a bit into jurisdiction that was traditionally for the judiciary. And while many judges will understand, some will not. And those who don't will disempower you. Continue engaging with them. In my time, the Chief Justice had formed a task force to deal with questions of contempt of court. And I was able to go in there, I think Julius was also there, and persuade them that as you are talking of contempt of court, you must create something called contempt of commissions. So that if a commission issues an edit and you don't comply, there must be a consequence. But unfortunately, that whole act was declared unconstitutional by the courts. And we in Parliament have never revived it. Parliament will never revive anything like that unless it is revived and brought to them. Consider all that. I think that, lastly, just recognize, you must just do your work and then you move on. And the beauty is, if you do your work well, you will be protected. Do not wait for the sympathies of the executive or parliament, because they are the people you are created to guard against in protecting the sovereignty of the people. But even if then it means that somebody wants you to go home early, so be it. There's always life after the commission. I survived the commission. I don't think I'm dead. I am right here. But sometimes it becomes so serious. There are times when you do your work, you are seen as an opposition either to the legislature or to the executive, to the point that when you go somewhere, you can be called, as some of us used to be called then, that we are opposition to the government. But if somebody tells you that, and I want to be honest with you, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta once jokingly told me, but Amolo, are you an opposition? I told him, but Mr. President, I am paid by the taxpayers to do exactly that. If I didn't do that, then you should not pay me at all. And he laughed, because he's a jocular man. But I don't think everyone will always laugh about such matters. There are some who might take it seriously and might take you that you are actually opposing. There's nothing like opposing the government when you are doing what you are paid to do. In fact, that is assisting the government of the day to be accountable and to stay in power. I urge you to remain steadfast and remain strong. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
You'll agree with me that was powerful remarks. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Otiende Amolo. The Joint Choir had prepared a special dedication to you. It's called Zipporah. I want to imagine Zipporah is a lady. I don't know what she did, so let us listen to the song.
Ombombi Zipporah wa mama, hamba wangu nayanza. 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 Zipporah wa mama duyanza, hamba wangu nayanza. Zipporah wa mama duyanza, hamba wangu nayanza. Ombombi zipi wa mama, 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 hamba wangu Zipporah wa mama duyanza, hamba wangu nayanza. Zipporah wa mama duyanza, hamba wangu nayanza. Konga buswa, Zipporah konga buswa. 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 Konga buswa, wenye kiti 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 konga buswa. Konga buswa,
TSC gonga buswa, gonga buswa, TSC gonga buswa, gonga buswa, TSC gonga buswa, TSC gonga buswa, TSC gonga buswa, gonga buswa, kajulu gonga buswa, gonga buswa, kajulu gonga buswa, gonga buswa, kajuju gonga buswa, gonga buswa, kajuju gonga buswa, gonga buswa, wana otiende gonga buswa, gonga buswa, otiende gonga buswa, gonga buswa, mwenyekiti gonga buswa, mwenyekiti gonga buswa, mwenyekiti gonga buswa, gonga buswa, echebukati gonga buswa, chebukati gonga buswa, chebukati gonga buswa, awoyiye, 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 awoyi tuna furaha, awoyi kasia banyeka, awoyiye, awoyiye, Oshua. Awoye twafanya kazi, awoye Kenya iende mbele, awoye tunawashukuru kwa kazi yenu nzuri. Oh, sure.
That's beautiful. Our own CCIO choirs, Combined Choir of Public Service Commission and Teachers Service Commission. Thank you very much. Just to remind us that our staff have put a lot of efforts to display the services and products that at the exhibition booths. Let's find time as we go for lunch and visit the exhibition booths. I would also wish to announce that we'll have 2 networking luncheons. It's an opportunity for all of us to network. We have 2 points of service or 2 restaurants, one at Tintin Restaurant, KICC, where we will have the chairpersons, the vice chairpersons, the commissioners, CEOs, panelists, moderators, and the technical committee. The other guests will be served on the first floor. Allow me now to invite the chairperson of CAJ, who is also the chairperson, the vice chairperson of the Chairpersons Forum, Honorable Florence Kajuju, to move a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Tabitha. I know the food is getting cold, so I'll make this as painless as I can. Allow me to pass our thanks to the Chief Justice, who is the President of the Supreme Court and the Chair of the Judicial Service Commission, Madam Martha Koome, for being present, for opening this forum for us, and also being a panelist in the process. We thank her. We thank you, our first chair of the Chairpersons Forum, because you are the founder of this program, and because of you, we are here today. Honorable Dr. Otiende Amolo, the first ombudsman of this country, and maybe I also say that ombudsman is a Swedish name that is across gender, so my chairperson, it is okay to call me the ombudsman. Allow me also to pass our regards to our chair of chairs, Honorable, for this purpose is Honorable Otachi, because he's been able to lead us through this process. There are days that we didn't know whether this was going to happen because of lack of funds, but being the man that he is, he has been able to bring on board quite a number of our friends, and this has happened. Thank you, Chair, and we promise you, I've been told by the other chairpersons that you are going to renew your term because you've proved beyond measure that you can continue to be the chair of chairs. So thank you, our chair. Allow me also to pass a vote of thanks to each and every one of the chairpersons present. You have availed the resources from your respective commissions for us to be able to make this happen, and you've been present and you participated in the program. We thank you and pray that all that you pledged today, we are going to do it. We thank you, our vice chairs, they are present of the commissions, and also all those who are in the independent offices. We thank you for being here. We thank you, our respected commissioners. You are also present with us to make sure that we walk this journey. There are also a special category of persons, our chief executive officers, or the commission secretaries of our respective commissions. Because of you, we were able to have this event happen. Our technical committee, you sat through the night to ensure that you planned this program. Technical committee, I know you are not requested to stand up, or you are, I think, but you can stand up again at this point in time. Technical committee, please, just stand up. These people have worked. At times they had to work through the night to ensure that all that we needed was done. Thank you, and we appreciate you, and keep doing a good job. Allow me again to thank our sponsors, our partners. They have given us a lot of support, both financially and also in terms of providing the materials that we needed. In a special category, I thank the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. You're able to bring on board quite a lot to make sure that this happens. Thank you also for accepting to be a moderator of our sessions. We appreciate you. We thank the European Union, the CPAK, NBK, Cooperative Bank, EPRA, and KURA. Thank you, each of you. And also the Public Service Commission, because you've given us gifts. I believe I can see each of you with a gift. I don't know what is inside, but I believe that what they have given us that is inside that bag is something that is special. Thank you, Chairperson, Ambassador Mushiri, for supporting us and giving us all that you've given us. We appreciate you. To all the panelists, to the moderators, I thank you for giving us your wisdom to ensure that we have succeeded in this. In absentia, I will thank the President of the Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Eric Theuri. He was present with us, but he had to rush for a meeting. So please pass the message. Those of us who are lawyers, advocates, we need our practicing certificates. So we appreciate and thank the President of the Law Society for being present. To the beautiful choirs that were present today, for entertaining us, for being there for us. One of the last songs that I heard you sing was that Tuungane Tuinjenge Kenya, Tuilinde Nchi Yetu. And thank you for praying for these commissions. We thank you, the choir from Public Service Commission and also from the Teacher Service Commission. You're well dressed. You've done a good job. Thank you for singing for us. The last song, I was trying to understand what it means, and I was asking my brother Chebukati what it actually means, and he told me they were singing and saying, "We like you, Kajuju." So, because my name was being mentioned, so I asked him, what are they saying, Omwami? But he tells me that they are saying they like you. I don't know whether that is the truth, but thank you for liking me. I love you right back. I thank the management of KICC because they gave us this facility. They've been able to give us lots of funds, and we thank you and appreciate you. It has been a beautiful day, and everything has come out very, very strongly. Honorable Tiende, thank you for giving us that wisdom. I think that's what we needed as the final push for us to always remember. And if I may say this, the last time we had a public lecture, one of the persons who spoke to us was Professor Kameri Bote, and she told us to remember. We should always remember where we were before these commissions came to be, and where we are at the moment. So remember to remember. Otherwise, if I've forgotten you, please forgive me. And of course, the State House MC, he made sure that it reminds us that where he works from, but pass our regards to State House for donating you to us, and we'll also remember you. So with that now, I believe Tabitha will be back to give us the in-house arrangements, because the commissions have made sure that today is a day to celebrate. It's a day to partake of what we've offered. So kindly, please, if you manage this far, don't leave before you partake of the meal that has been offered. But that is for Tabitha to tell us where we shall go. We thank you, and please remember to visit the booths that have been prepared for further explanation or questions or comments that you might want the commissions to take home. Thank you. We thank God for this opportunity. Thank you, Lord, for being with us. God bless you. God bless us. God bless Kenya. Asanteni sana.
That was a wonderful vote of thanks. Let's give a hearty hand of applause to Honorable Kajuju. Thank you very much. Before we go for lunch, we will pass through the booths. Our staff have put a lot of efforts, and they are beautifully displayed. I request that we are upstanding for the national anthem and the closure of this forum.
Ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na udugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi.
Thank you very much. And once again, our distinguished guests, lunch will be served at Tintin, and the other guests will be on the first floor. We also appreciate the sign language interpreters. Thank you very much for a wonderful service.
Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda daima.